Live from Lafayette, Louisiana, it's Fan Man Tonight. This week, the first Fan Man Tonight Live of 2019, featuring Big Al and Professor Geek. And now, a man so white, even Han Solo couldn't find him on Hoth, the Fan Man! Hey, kids. Hello, kids. Everyone there in live chat land. It's the Fan Man. Welcome to the first Fan Man Tonight Live. The official name of this show, by the way. That's not what I had on the copy, and that's not what I read there. But that is the name of the show. Welcome. It is great to be here. And, I'm hearing now. I'm here. Does anybody in the chat, do you hear me? Is anybody hearing me there in the chat? I don't know. I see. Oh, I'm being told that we hear you, just not music. What devilry is this? Oh, well, that's great. Maybe I was better than the music. So nobody hears this music playing right now. Unbelievable. Hang on. I got to talk to... Hey, who... Hey, play 16 for me, please. Play 16. Anybody hearing a drum roll right now? Anybody hear a drum roll? No? There's no drum roll? Martha Stewart. All right, kill the sound. Apparently nobody can hear it. This is just about right. The first show of 2019, and none of the audio works. I don't know, guys. I don't know if you know, guys. This is a podcast. That's right, audio. I'm talking to the Fan Man Tonight production staff, and by God, why are they even still working for me? I don't know, but it doesn't matter because we really will be fine without it. We'll try to work these kinks out, but it's very exciting to be here. I have not been on the channel in a while, and that a lot of that had to do with holidays and other things that are going on. There's a thought. How long has this thing even been on? A week. You didn't think maybe turn the computer off? Restart the damn thing. Sorry. We're going to restart some software and some laptops and see what in the hell we can do. It is so great to be here. Professor Geek says, we just need your shimmering personality. That's enough. Well, thank you, sir. I don't know if it's shimmering, but it's something. It's something. That is what we're going to go ahead and do right now. Bring in the people who are shimmering, and that would be Professor Geek and Big Al. Guys, why don't you come on in out of the green room? Join us here on the stage.
This is a nice, comfy couch there.
You have the
thank you.
best donuts back in the green room.
I had them made by someone else myself, so I went to no trouble at all. So I'm glad you enjoyed them. Thanks for being here, guys. And if anyone is wondering, does he ever have any other guests on his live shows? The answer is no. But that will change. We will have other guests, but not necessarily other guests in lieu of Professor Geek and Big Al. So they're my guys. They're my buddies, okay? So that's why they're here. I don't want anybody to take that in any kind of way. I don't want you to interpret it like if you were on the Superman rewatch. Don't interpret what I just said in the way that Professor Geek was talking about Christopher Reeve. That's not how I meant it. He meant what he said in a different way, and so we're not gonna go there. No, I'm just busting.
In ancient Spartan culture, this wasn't a problem.
Oh dear God! Yeah, well, thanks, Zack Snyder. You really want to go down that road, old Zack? Ayn Rand and naked, shirtless, muscular men. That's Zack Snyder in a nutshell, right there. That's I'm just seeing connections now.
And all floating palaces.
And floating. Oh my gosh! Wow. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't want that in a Superman movie. That's why Cavill was shirtless all the time. That explains so much. Well, kids, here we are. 2019 is here, and I wanted to do this show last week, and then the reality was that it just wasn't going to happen. Not in any real way. One, primarily because Professor Geek and I have both had a bit of a malady. His worse than mine, I think. Did you have the flu?
It was a full-grown flu. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you're on the mend, as it were. So you're getting there.
Yeah, I just got this lingering, horrid cough and voice messed up. So that's, great for somebody who has a YouTube channel and does audio, all the time.
You need to quit the liquor and cigarettes, my friend.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let the women in your life do that. That's how I like my women, liquored up and smoking a pack a day. I don't know what that means. No, but yeah, well, that's why you have a dump button, as you called it, which was a very nice use of radio terminology. We just call ours a cough button, but then you got that there. That's all you need when your voice is not what you want it to be. You may hear us on this live stream doing that because I also have an upper respiratory malady, and I have been coughing things up from out of my bronchial tubes that I tell you what, I thought at one point it was Yaphet from the Orville. I wasn't sure. I was like, how did he get down there? But anyway, that's lovely. On my old show that no one listened to except for Al and Michael, I used to talk about my medical condition. So, I might bring that back. We are going to talk. Al, by the way, didn't get sick that I know of. Mentally, he is, but physically, I think you're fine, right?
Well, except for the other, except for the other stuff that I'm dealing with every day.
Yes, well, sure. I thought maybe you were going to say
no virus, no bacterial thingamabobbies.
You see that? You're lucky because it's going around. It's going around, and people are just very. I know what I'll do. I'll cough all over the air. Hey, look, 3 or 4 people next to me. And I just think that we should be able to charge somebody that coughs right on you or sneezes right on you. I think that should be a dangerous weapon. You should be able to have them arrested. Maybe the germophobia has gone too far, but that's how I feel. So
going all Howie Mandel on us.
What is that with him? Oh, you mean with? Well, explain that to me because I don't.
Howie Mandel. You know who Howie Mandel is?
I do. Oh, yeah, you mean
he's a huge germaphobe.
I did not know that.
He doesn't even shake hands.
I can understand that.
He'll do fist bumps or an elbow bump or something, but he's notorious for not wanting to touch people.
Apparently, James Spader is too on that show that he was doing with William Shatner, the lawyer show. There was all these kind of stories about William Shatner would have to shake hands with James Spader's character when he have like a booger in his palm or something. James Spader would just lose his mind.
The Shat. That's my boy right there. Nice.
Boston Legal.
I loved Boston Legal when Shatner came on. I started watching because of course it's the captain. I'm going to watch it, and I loved it, even though. The far left stuff, but it was still so funny. And James Spader's so talented, I will say this, okay? I don't understand why in this year of 2019, we've been to the moon. Now China's been to the far side of the moon. We have a phone that's really an advanced computer. We have it in our pockets. We are doing things with technology, gene splicing, this, that, and the other that you would never have dreamt of 60 years ago. Yet we are still wiping our anuses with paper, and we still shake hands like some kind of primate communication from the Neanderthal era. And I'm thinking, we get everything else from Japan. Why don't we just follow their lead? They gave up handshaking 500-600 years ago. They've been doing that bow thing that long. I think we should really just follow their lead. Just bow. I want the bow of peace. As a Catholic, I want that in the Catholic Church. In fact, we went to mass last weekend, and my wife said, I'm really concerned because you leave every time the sign of peace is about to begin. You go. And I was like, yeah, because people are gross, man. They're gross. She was like, I'm really concerned about you. And then even some of my friends have talked to my wife and said, I noticed Chris is always getting up at a certain time during mass. And then she, of course, told them. And I don't care. Until we do the bow of peace or until people wash their hands, I don't have any guilt. Jesus never said I had to shake anybody's hand. Damn it.
That's right. He said that's right. The Bible says the kiss of peace, even, Chris.
Well, depends on how she looks. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You need the big giant body condom like from the Naked Gun movie.
That would actually work. then I'd really have to bow because that's pretty much all they could do. I was thinking that I would just take the liquid latex that I use for special effects for Halloween, and I would just put that on my hand, and it would look like I had kind of flesh colored, and just shake hands. I could peel that off at the end. And I told that to my wife, and she just kind of stopped talking to me for a few days. So maybe not a good idea. But so let's talk about something here that is both a good idea and a bad idea. The year 2018. And I'm going to go ahead and say it was largely a bad idea. It was largely a bad idea. Now, that's negative. I just want to preface all of this, guys, because we're going to be, those of you in the audience, we are doing the best and worst picks in the realm of the geek, which is what I call geekdom, for 2018. And I'm just going to tell you, it's going to get a little negative. I didn't make any resolutions to be positive, so I'm not making any promises. However, of the three of us, yeah, exactly. But Big Al is here. He will provide some positivity. Some would call it balance. It depends on how you look at things. But you're going to disagree with some of the things we say. That's okay. That's fine. But you're still wrong. I just wanted everybody who disagrees to know that. Excuse me. So how I've done this is I sent a list to the guys of categories, and I just want to preface this too. It does not matter, and I know Professor Geek will back me up on this, and so will you, Big Al. It doesn't matter if we've seen something or not. We can still say it's the best or the worst based on everything else we know. Yep. We get to say that, because now if we were just casual fans, no, but we are far beyond that. We are far down the rabbit hole of fandom. We get to say, I don't need to see this movie to know it's crap. It's part of this bigger piece of crap. But therefore,
you have to go buy a ticket and give them your money and give them your vote before you can criticize it.
No, I don't. I actually had somebody on my Facebook, a friend of mine. He said last week, and I really thought I was going to be able to control myself, but he said, man, I love DC so much, thought I wasn't going to do it, but I just got out of Aquaman. And I actually said, if you love DC so much, and I know you do, because your godfather gave you the comics that he used to read, that he bought with me when we went to the comic shop, why did you go see this movie? And it was such a mean thing to say. And he kind of didn't reply, but I know it got to him. And then my friend, who's his godfather, came into the conversation and was like, I saw it. It was awesome. And I went into this long thing, and I haven't heard from either one of them, which is fine. But it's like, don't tell me that you're a fan of this when you're really not. Because if you were, and don't tell me you have to do this. This isn't China. This isn't some kind of communist regime in which we have to watch what we're told by the state. No, don't go see the shit. Okay, I'm sorry. Look, I haven't had any alcohol tonight, just coffee. But I tell you, man, could get crazy. So that's gonna be kind of the flavor of the conversation, kids. So if you saw anything we talk about and you disagree and you say, well, you didn't see it either, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. So we still love you, though. We want you to know we love you, and we have a nice fruitcake for you there in the green room. And we're gonna have the Fan Man Tonight staffers send that out. But hang on, guys. Hey, did you fix it? Okay. I tell you what, play something. I'm gonna see. Let's just see what happens if we play something. Play number 3. Did you guys hear anything? Any audio there?
Nope.
No.
Damn it to hell. All right, I'm sorry. Moving on, let's dive right into this. So much for the sound effects. So we're going to start, and the way this is going to work is we have categories, and we are going to do our best and then worst in those categories. I am going to go last because I'm the host, and I'm going to try to be a gentleman for once. Let's start with superhero movie. Now, that's very specific. Mm-hmm. So superhero movie, not comic book movie. Superhero movie, and we'll do age before beauty.
Yes, go ahead and say that.
I was trying to see if I could soften that, but I would say, Al, you're a beautiful man. I can say that, unlike how Professor Geek was talking about.
He's a beautiful man. He's a dog ugly woman.
Oh,
yes, that's true.
Okay, okay, gonna start it already, right, Michelle?
Michelle.
Don't make Allison's claws come out.
Allison with a Y, pretentious much.
With a Y.
With a Y.
And some Moroccan C cups.
I was listening to Bill Burr the other day on his one of his podcasts, and he was saying that usually hot chicks will use a Y instead of an I in their name. Like if it's Cindy, it's going to be C-Y-N-D-Y, or Allison with a Y instead of an I. So it doesn't apply to you guys, though. Sorry. But yeah, Professor Geek, why don't you take a superhero movie? And this is fun because I have my guesses as to what you guys are going to pick. So let's see if I'm right. What did you think was best superhero film of 2018?
I thought you said Age.
Oh, I did, didn't I? Damn it, I'm sorry. Big Al. Same thing, though. I think I know what you're going to say.
Superhero movie, Avengers Infinity War.
That is exactly what I thought you were going to say.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us why? Any brief reasons you think?
Because you had your Black Panther and you had all these other movies. This one gave you pretty much everything. It was humor, it was action, it was intense emotional upheaval. It's everything you wanted in a movie, just on steroids. So it was the biggest, and I do think ultimately the best of the big boys. Not the only good one by a huge factor. This was a great year for superhero films.
I very interesting. Okay, I'm trying not to say whether I agree or not yet until I reveal mine. Professor Geek, what do you say? What do you think?
I am actually not going to say Infinity War.
Oh,
I know, a shock. Now that's not because I didn't dearly love it. I did, but when you say best superhero movie, my mind just goes to a cohesive, contained plot story arc. And
right.
As amazing as Infinity War was, and as much as I recommend to anyone, I would never in a million years recommend anybody just watch Infinity War if they haven't seen any of the Marvel films. So that's what disqualifies it in my mind from, movie, like, contained. It's like its own entity. It's something different. I don't know. So in that sense, I'm going to say Ant-Man and Wasp. And that might be a little unusual too to some people, but I think that for a number of reasons. First of all, I think it was an incredibly well done example of it was impressive how they could pull off the magic a second time, which it doesn't always happen in sequels anyway. I mean, even Iron Man 2 wasn't that great in terms of story and everything like that. And because of the circumstances surrounding the first film, it was kind of all these things and delays and these other people having to come in and cover and everything, and it was kind of like some people thought it was just sort of like, oh, that was just a lucky strike that the film ended up that well. But no, they did it again, and they did it, they raised the stakes as a sequel should. And it was the first Marvel film to follow up Infinity War. And it made people laugh again. It made people hope again, even though, yes, it is set before the events of all that and everything. I think it had a heavy job on its hands, and I think it pulled it off incredibly well.
Wow. Very interesting. I'm not surprised at all in the way that you analyzed and thought about that. So that doesn't really surprise me in one way. Excellent. All right. Well, this is interesting because none of us have picked the same one. I'm going to just go ahead and I'm trying to look back and forth between different screens here. I don't know what the chat's going to think about this, but here's mine. I wish I had the drum roll, but damn it, we don't. My pick for best superhero. Now, this included animation, and it included anything that was not direct to cinemas. It could also be a direct to video. So I had to go with Marvel Rising Secret Warriors. I did. I had to go with that because it had Kamala Khan in it. It had Squirrel Girl.
Me?
I watched
This is a joke, right?
I watched it after I had inhaled a lot of gasoline fumes.
There we go.
And I had also done a line of cocaine off of a prostitute's bustier, and I'll tell you, it was a great film.
That'll make anything a great film.
It was terrific. I especially liked how Kamala Khan's superhero power is that her hands get bigger. That's useful in different trades. I'm going to just put that out there.
I like the way she says "embiggen."
Yeah, embiggen. Isn't that clever? And
I will say anything off a hooker's bustier. That makes anything good.
Well, it depends on the hooker. Trust me, it depends.
Especially if they look like some kind of skank like Michelle.
Oh, good
At
Lord.
least I
Yes,
can
you're
fill
right.
a Bustier C cup.
Wow. Now I'm kidding. You're right. I do have a real pick. Okay. Do y'all want to hear? Do y'all want to hear my real pick? Because I have a real pick, and again, it's going to be controversial. I didn't go with anything, but
what would you do if we said no?
Well, I don't know. It is my show, so I guess we can't do anything. My real pick. Here we go. It was, in fact, Batman Ninja. So I thought it was great because Batman is so underused by Warner Brothers and DC Comics that I loved how they took Batman and they said, since we never use him, what if we did something like they did with the old action figures back in the day where they run out of different colors? Let's make a ninja Batman. They made that into a movie. So I was thrilled. I should point out that I was extremely drunk when I watched it. And at one point, I actually thought that I was the Demon Lord Joker while watching the film. So it was great.
That's also an element of Batman that's never ever played up. You know, his ninja skills and abilities. So
I never knew that the Joker could be that evil.
Yeah,
or that Batman. I never knew also that Batman could be compared to a ninja. Like it's exactly right. No, all right. Enough of the joking. Let's. This is my real pick now. I promise. I would not drag on a bit. That's not something I believe in. I don't believe in dragging on a bit. My real pick is, of course, going to be Teen Titans Go to the Movies. And I mean, I think that was the best film because it took these iconic DC characters that have been around for decades.
That poor horse.
And it treated them with such respect and such dignity that I tell you, it's better than anything Marv Wolfman ever cooked up.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. All right, finally, here we go. Venom. Venom is my pick. It was a tie between Venom and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. No, okay. I have one more. The Death of Superman. I loved how it took everything about my favorite Superman story and then wrapped it in a shit-colored bow and then presented it. I love that. I enjoyed that a lot, and I can't wait for part 2 of it.
And marketed it as true to the comic.
Yes, they did. That's right. I forgot about that. And they promised in the second installment, the follow-up, 100% more shit color on the bow. So it's going to be great, and I'm looking forward to it. No,
Hendrix
okay.
is getting tired of this. He's come on, fine man, get your pick.
Damn it, I'm sorry, Hendrix. You're right. Finally, this is it for real. Aquaman. Aquaman was the best.
Comic fan Nicholas called it. He said the next thing you're going to say is Aquaman.
No, actually, it was Avengers: Infinity War. Now I do see where, and I will say it was Avengers: Infinity War with very closely tied to Black Panther for the reasons that Professor Geek so beautifully illustrated. The fact that yes, it's bigger, it's part of a bigger narrative, whereas Black Panther can be a standalone film more or less. And also Deadpool 2 was like a in third place. But Avengers Infinity War, for me, I went ahead and picked it ultimately because I had more experience with the Avengers reading-wise in comics, and it felt so much like the cosmic Avengers / Marvel stories that I said, yeah, this is the best comic book movie in that regard. But selfishly, because I only care about me, the hell with everybody else, I didn't consider anybody who hasn't seen the other films like the wonderful, kind Professor Geek did. So mine is a selfish pick, but that's mine.
Comic fan Nicholas said, I can't tell if he's being serious now.
No, I know. If you think this is hard, comic fan Nicholas, try being married to me. That's what she said. I'm sorry. No, I am. I'm being. Well, I'm going to type it in so it's in writing. I'm being serious this time. I just spelled it Serios. Serios. I have a degree in English and I'm working on another one and I can't spell. All right, so I think that is my pick for a lot of the reasons Al said. I just thought that it captured, as I watched it, I thought this is the stuff. And I always loved the Infinity Gauntlet, which is what they should have named the sequel, but maybe we'll get into that later. But yeah, I went with Infinity War there for best. So let's do worst. Let's start with Professor Geek this time. What's your pick for worst comic book film of 2018?
Okay, so I am picking one that I haven't seen yet, but I have specific reasons for it.
Yes.
Also, I just don't get to the theaters very often, so if I'm going to go see a movie in the theater, I want to make darn sure that I'm going to like it, first. So I'm going to say Venom. Now, this is no commentary on the quality of the film itself as a made film and story and all of that, because I don't know about that. And a lot of people are saying it's great. So my only criteria for naming it in this category, yeah, my only criteria for naming it in the category is the damage it does to the Venom mythos and to the Spider-Man mythos, and therefore to the to the cultural impact that Spider-Man story can have. Because, as I've said many times, Venom is a beautiful, profound shadow villain for Spider-Man to fight. He is a wonderful symbol of the shadow self, and that's a great time in Spider-Man's life and Parker's life to encounter that and to really face that, his own dark side in that sense, and that raised up the stakes there. And it was just gorgeous. And in the Venom movie, and doing what it did and changing the origin and erasing Spider-Man from that character and that story, it just completely obliterated that. And since your average person walking around, especially because cultural memory isn't very long, and Spider-Man 3 was so long ago, your average person doesn't know anything about Venom. So they'll go see that movie, and that's Venom now. That's Venom for like the next, 10 years to the average person in the public. So I think it was a really detrimental movie to the comic book mythos.
Very interesting. And I of course, completely agree with that for those same reasons. As a guy who was reading those comics as the character developed, yeah, seeing this happen is just such a shame, and I know that it's only going to continue now with Morbius. And for some reason, people actually, first of all, went see Venom, and then second of all, actually liked it. So, and no offense really to anybody who did like it, but I just think when you say the sentence, "I'm a big comic book fan, a big Spider-Man comic book fan, but I loved Venom," I kind of lose you there. I could understand if you're a casual superhero movie fan and you like Tom Hardy and you loved Venom, like my wife's uncle told me. He said, "I know you probably hate it, but I liked it because I knew nothing about it." I was like, well, then it works. But I would also argue, and I didn't get into this with him, I also argue that you could just make your own character, or you could have done this in a way that still had Spider-Man, but didn't focus on Spider-Man. So, yeah, I'm 100% with you on there. Big Al?
For purely aesthetic reasons, Teen Titans Go to the movies is the biggest dumpster fire of animation I can imagine in this universe.
Did you see Marvel Rising?
No. So if that is a dumpster fire, it was well out of my nasal detection area. I hate that animation.
Yeah.
The way they draw the characters, the over exaggerated reactions. It's just. Now I know it's more for kids, but if you're going to have a movie like this and you're going to throw in a lot, from what I understand, a lot of the big name like Batman and Superman and stuff, what a waste. What a waste of being able to see some of your favorite characters portrayed and in such a dumb looking crap hole of a
animation style.
And it's purely the animation style. I hate the way it looks. And I'm being honest. Did I see it? No, but I saw enough of the promotional stuff to know. I'm looking at the poster here.
It's garbage.
It sucks.
Have you seen the toys? Because I was in Books A Million last week where
I don't get to stores.
Oh, that's true. I thought maybe you saw the pictures, but these toys just came out for this film, and I'm walking around and I didn't know they made them. So I'm looking around in the clearance stuff, and I see one, and it is the ugliest. I'm going to send you guys a picture of it. I'm going to put it in the chat too. The ugliest freaking thing I've ever seen. And I thought, this isn't real. This must be like what is this? And then I picked it up, and it was this movie's toy tie-in already in clearance. Because parents are probably like, is this Batman after he's been, run over by a car and then run over it again? It's awful. And it's that shitty, pardon my French, animation style. And what I also hate about it is my girls love it. So I'll come in sometimes the living room. They've got it on. That or SpongeBob. Someone shoot me now.
Oh my gosh.
And Teen Titans, when it's on, what I've done to get them to change the channel, I was like, well, let me tell you why this show is terrible. And they're like, Dad, please stop. And I was like, well, you see this character here, Cyborg. Here's why he's awesome. And then you see this guy that's supposed to be Robin. Let's talk about the history of Robin. This is supposed to be Dick Grayson, but he's dressed like Tim Drake, who's my favorite Robin. And I go into it, and they're like, we'll change it. But yeah, it's garbage. Awesome. I completely agree with that.
There is a general reason. Some people in the chat were saying, I never understand why they made that movie. I think Comic Fan Nicholas was saying, yeah, it was based on the original Teen Titans, which was so good. You're absolutely right. And the reason is, it's been confirmed by Paul Dini and different people in the industry, is because they do not like it when they can't market something directly to boys or directly to girls. And the problem with Young Justice was that it was supposed to be directed to young boys, but a lot of girls were watching it too, and they couldn't have that. So they had to instead nix Young Justice and let's do a Teen Titans, but let's make sure it's very much a kind of humor that little boys would like, necessarily. But you just said your girls watch it, so that's not necessarily great marketing there. But that was what they did there, and then they do their little superhero girl high school or whatever, trying to market it to girls. But yeah, it's ridiculous. They think that's going to make them more money by having more control, but it's a nonsense business strategy.
Yes, it is, but that's the whole Warner Brothers strategy: is how can we further degrade something so that we can get it to the most not everything is made for everybody, which brings up something that we're going to touch on later. I have a feeling we'll have time to talk about the Punisher and the Marvel Netflix shows. Not everything has to be for everybody, and that's something that I don't think is understood, because that's probably a lot more from the greed side of things. I see Mara Jade says that girls like boy stuff too. Absolutely, that is absolutely true. My girls liked Young Justice, but I think that for them, Young Justice, they were a little too young. But my oldest could follow it, but she really didn't watch from the beginning. The only reason that they like Teen Titans Go is because of the music, and that's interesting to me, that they like the music and they think that they do like the humor in it, and that's probably because of me. I mean, because I'm like a 10-year-old boy, so they're like, oh, this reminds me of Dad, this man that was allowed to procreate for some reason. But yeah. Cool stuff is cool stuff. No, I agree completely. And I will say this, on the other side of this coin, when that cool stuff is quality cool stuff, it's absolutely universal. Like, I grew up, and I can remember my mom saying, I'm not so sure about you watching this She-Ra. And I was like, it's He-Man's sister. What are you even talking about? and then we went to the store, and I found the She-Ra action figure with real hair that you could brush. And I didn't see the fact that you could brush her hair. I was like, well, now I can have She-Ra and He-Man kick the shit out of Skeletor together. That's all I saw. So kids don't see things the way we do. And that's where all of this kind of rearranging things and trying to kind of blur the lines, they don't even see that.
And was there really and truly no thought in your young mind about maybe taking a peek under the costume of the doll?
Oh, I absolutely did. Absolutely, I did. And now I think I got it probably prepubescent, but still curiosity. And I had it into puberty, and I look back occasionally. Yeah. Of course, by the time I was in puberty, I had the ladies offering the real thing. Not at all. Ever.
and he was shocked that they weren't smooth down there.
Yeah. I was like, why is there anything down here? Aren't you just supposed to be smooth like that She-Ra action figure? But hey, your hair's the same. And then that's usually when the restraining order was put in. Wow. So I don't know where this is going. I completely agree with you on that. I have pure hatred for that show, but I understand if people like it, but I guess what I don't like about that too is that if you want to do something superhero oriented, why not create, like, for example, go into the rich catalog of the oldest comic book company and universe in the history of the medium and find something that you could adapt that doesn't destroy what the Teen Titans are. For example, the Captain Carrot and the Zoo Crew. I don't know how familiar you guys are with that comic, but when I was a kid, Captain Carrot was kind of like this, it was kind of like DC analogs as anthropomorphic animals. So it was kind of like a mixture of Warner Brothers and superheroes. And I mean, Warner Brothers Looney Tunes. And it was really I would see my brother had a couple of them. why not just bring that in and do that? You got superheroes, you got animals. To me, that would have cross appeal, you know. But no, let's go turn the Titans into a joke. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Anyway, I could go off on a tangent about that, but I'm going to instead, I am going to go with my pick. Can you guys guess what I picked for worst superhero movie of 2019?
No.
Big Al, any ideas?
Into the Spider-Verse?
Man, that's on the list. I went with Aqua Bro, and here's why. Did I see Aqua Bro? No, I didn't. Let me tell you why. This movie hurt me. It hurt me almost more than any of the other films. Now, I didn't see Wonderless Woman, and I won't. I did see, when it came on to cable television, I saw Batfleck v Not So Superman, and I unfortunately witnessed Hobo of Steel in theaters. Why Aqua Bro hurt was because not only did people say it was good, because I didn't hear many people saying, hey, did you see Batman versus Superman? It was so good. I didn't hear no one ever really said that to me. I just had people say, did you see it? And then they were always kind of iffy about what they thought. People I know have said, this movie's good. And I've looked at the trailer and have been impressed. And I like James Wan. I love his work. In fact, the Conjuring films. What bothers me so much about Aqua Bro is that Warner Brothers threw all of this good potential, great talent. By the way, I also hate Jason Momoa with a passion. I always have. Haven't seen Game of Thrones, but everything I've seen of Jason Momoa, don't like him. Don't think he's funny. Don't think he's a good actor. I know that the reason this movie's doing so well, I actually read an article the other day that said it's doing so well in China because of the aquaculture. And I called that. I think I made a joke about that on one of our live streams, or maybe in one of my videos. And that's exactly why. That's part of their culture. So of course it's familiar and they loved it. And that's great. I know that the reason it's doing so well in the US is because women want to go see Jason Momoa. My wife actually said, yeah, but Jason Momoa, we should go watch it. And I said, I will leave you right now. And she said, go ahead. So that's what happened. That was a stalemate. But that was a pretty brilliant move on Warner Brothers' part. What bothers me so much is that they should have reboot and said, okay, we're going to do Aquaman right, but it's not going to be part of this universe. And I know, if any of you in the chat haven't seen it, go watch, not right now, wait till later, assuming you still want to hear me talk. Go watch Professor Geek's video on Aquaman and why it doesn't matter if it's good. It doesn't. And it may be good in a certain, I think we could say a relative sense or a comparative sense, to the other films, it's good. But it's kind of like you've just perfected your recipe for something, and you've made the very best version of it, and you have a restaurant and everybody's excited about this, and you've pushed it and you're going to get it out there, and then you throw it right in the toilet. That's pretty much equivalent of what I know. It made a lot of money. I know it's going to probably keep this Zack Snyder shit around for another 20 years, but it doesn't mean it's really good for the characters. Now, if you don't know Aquaman, if you don't know the DC Comics universe that well, then I guess you don't have a connection to it. But I feel like it's an offense even further because they tried this time and they actually succeeded somehow, and I'm getting emotional, like I'm shaking talking about it because I'm that pissed about it. And because even, Batman v Superman and even Wonder Woman didn't have this much hype. It didn't do, I think it surpassed Wonder Woman at the box office globally, I think, right?
Yes, yeah. It has.
So I didn't see this much hype. I didn't go everywhere and see it all over, and it's just sickening. It makes me, plus I hate shellfish, and I largely hate seafood, so there's also part of that. Mm-hmm. And it's just infuriating as a fan of DC Comics. So that's my pick for worst. Thankfully, nothing else on the list is quite, well, that's not true, but that's a pretty big one on the list there for me. So let's move on to best comic book TV show, and I am going to actually let Professor Geek kick this one off.
Because we all know what he's going to say. The best show that neither of you Luddites will ever get around to watching, you Philistines. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Hey, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to kicked all kinds of ass in that last season. Amazing. The new one's the next season's about to drop. I'm just pissing myself waiting for it. Every season just gets better and better and better. I don't care what anybody says.
Hey, is it still on though? I'm sorry, but is still being broadcast?
It is not. Well, it's not right currently. It's in between seasons. The season 7 is going to be a shorter season, which is about to air now, and they've actually already greenlit season 8, which will start next season too. So much more to come from the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. universe. It's the kind of show that you can't convince people who are against it until you just like tie them down and make them watch it, and then once they've watched a few episodes, then they're like, yeah, it's actually not that bad. You have to spend some time with it before and then people love it. It's but people are just the people who don't want to give it the enough time will never get into it, because they'll just sit down and watch one episode or 15 minutes and like, it didn't catch my attention. Well, I'm sorry that you have that sort of attention span, but some of us who have depth of soul and profoundness of artistic appreciation can enjoy it. So just saying. Al,
I will say that
I watched that show for several episodes when Ghost Rider was on.
Yeah, like 5 seasons in, when you didn't know anything was going on.
Ghost Rider disappeared, and so did the quality.
That's Allison talking. That's the Allison portion of your brain talking.
It's her time of the month. Allison, take a pill.
I am giving him a hard time. I know that he is in lust with one Agent Coulson. So
Agent Coulson's my hero. If I'm in lust with anybody, it's certainly Daisy.
It's what makes Michelle's panties wet.
Oh, now Michelle probably does have a thing for Coulson. I'll go ahead and throw that out there. When we do they told us, Chris, in the last live stream we were doing, they want the chat wants a comic book eventually of the female counterparts of ourselves, and they want to call it Fun Bags, and it's going to be about us opening up our handbag store. So, Allison, Michelle, and would you like to be Christina or whatever you'd like to call yourself?
I think I don't know. I think I'll actually call myself Chris anyway. I'll follow Marvel's trend.
There you go.
Of taking Thor and making it Thor a woman, but still calling him Thor or her Thor.
Tracy Pacelli might have to guest star some too.
Oh, okay, absolutely, Tracy. That would be lovely. He's talking about his custom Barbie. I'm sorry, she's talking about her custom Barbies right now in the chat. So, I'm just picking on you, Troy. I'm kind of scared of Troy because the Klingon culture there, he so strongly resonates with it that I feel like if I offend him, he would drive down here and cut my head off with a bat lift. Like I don't want to offend Mr. Pacelli. I don't at all. And Troya. Oh, Troya. I like that. Troya.
I told him he wasn't allowed to call himself Troya, though, because then Michelle might have to swing the other way.
That sounds badass, though. That does sound pretty...
Can always write that into the comic.
Oh, there you go. God's sakes. Yeah, I can really see this getting a lot of crowdfunding behind it. It wouldn't surprise me if it did. Okay, so... Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And to be fair, as I've told you over the years, once a show gets too far, I watched the first episode and I enjoyed it, and then I was still an idiot watching The Walking Dead because it had not crapped the bed, as they say, yet, so I was still watching it, but I kind of got away from me, and that's the same reason I probably will never watch Supernatural. I'll never watch Doctor Who, just because there's too much now for me to go back to. Hell, The Flash, which I loved, is too far gone for me now, and in other ways as well. But that's gone too many seasons.
I will say the strength of the show is its writing to the arc. It really does have a wonderful sense of it knows where it's going and it's taking you there in a skilled fashion. It's not just writing to the cliffhanger. So that's so yeah, you would need to start at the very beginning and have the time to put in. So I understand if you just couldn't get into it at this point.
Yeah, that's really my biggest. I have nothing, and I know that also one of the reasons you love that show so much is because, as you said, Phil Coulson, your favorite MCU character, correct?
He's just awesome, yeah.
So I understand that that's a big part of it as well, and I love the character too. So I wanted to stick around with it, but it's one of those things that didn't happen. But you never know. I mean, as soon as I win the lottery and I have a lot more time, I'm actually rewatching Deep Space Nine, and the X-Files, and it's taken me 2 years to get to the second season of X-Files and the 6th season of Deep Space Nine. Actually, I've been on Deep Space Nine longer, so yeah, it's taken me a while. All right, Al, your pick then for best comic book TV.
As you know, this was a tough one for me. I wrote down, I actually had like several on my list because I love, everybody knows I love the Flareverse with Arrow and Flash and Legends of Tomorrow. But if I had to pick the best, I would have to go with Daredevil on Netflix. Daredevil was, I mean, it was spectacular. I think it's
talking about season 3 in particular.
Season 3 in particular, but the entire series I thought has really been quality. It is, to me, the best of the Netflix shows, and the fact that they canceled it after such a strong season just eats at my very inner core. But Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock is perfect. It's got fantastic action. That action scene, and I think it's the third episode of the third season, third or fourth episode, where it's one continuous take for like 15 minutes of a fight scene. And it is just,
oh yeah, they do that every season.
Yeah, but this was a masterpiece because they do it in a hallway and different, they have to revolve to different angles and corners in a hallway. I mean, the first season they do that one long shot. In this one, they're twisting and turning and starting in a room and then going out into a hallway. And I was very impressed by that shot alone. But Vincent D'Onofrio is Kingpin.
Yeah.
What a fantastic portrayal. Eldon Henson and Deborah Wall, and it's just fantastic. It's the most emotionally resonant of the Netflix series, and I've loved, and like I said, I've loved them all. So, but Daredevil definitely gets my vote as best.
Cool.
Well, I actually wanted to very much, and because I had to go to Google and search Superhero TV 2018 to see what I had forgotten, because ever since I stopped watching the Flash and Arrow, I didn't have any other. It had to be something from 2018, at least current, still running in 2018. So I thought I would go with Daredevil, but I didn't watch season 3 yet. I would go with Punisher, but that was 2017. It was right on the tail end, if I recall. Mm-hmm. So I was really left in a bit of a pickle there because there was really nothing else that I was watching that was a comic book show. I don't watch The Walking Dead anymore, so nothing really fit in there. And then I recalled that I have been keeping up with, and that they have had new episodes of this series, and it may be the last. Now, I should say that I haven't seen anything yet on this DC streaming service, nor will I pay for it, at least. So I can't speak to that. But of what I've seen, I have to go with Justice League Action, because even though the uniforms are not completely what they should be, these are the characters as they should be. And I know
it does seem like that. Yeah, I would agree.
It's only a 20-minute show, and a lot of it is, it's interesting to me what you were saying about Teen Titans Go, because I watched the other morning, I watched Justice League Action Saturday morning, and I was watching it thinking, some of this humor, I can tell where that's targeted, but it did not go to the places Teen Titans Go does of just being kind of stupid. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't insult the audience, and it isn't largely just a farce and a joke. And so I think I watched, it was a Captain Marvel episode, and his uncle gets Captain Marvel powers from Mxyzptlk. It was a great little episode. I mean, it was, and I thought these characters they don't look iconic, but they're acting iconic. And it may be the last vestiges of that being put out by Warner Brothers today. So that's my pick for best.
That's true. Yeah, I would concur about that. I mean, the costume design, some of them are real. Like, I cringe every time I see that freaking Wonder Woman design. I just hate it, hate it. But you're right. When you watch it and you see their reaction, somebody posted on Twitter a hilarious little skit where Batman and Superman are wanting to question Deadshot, and they say, "Okay, good cop, bad cop," and Superman says, "Wait, you're always the bad cop. Let me try being the bad cop." And it's hilarious. Like, he keeps apologizing for everything he does before he stops. Like, I mean, no. Yeah, you're going to do this, right? And then Deadshot sees Batman trying to be the good cop, and that totally weirds him out. So eventually he's just like, I'll talk. It's hilarious.
That's awesome. See, that's clever humor. That's not, and it also respects the characters and who they are. That's what we need more of. Yeah. That reminds me of that scene. I've noticed this is somehow related, but I keep seeing ads, and I see it on all the comic book news sites. The Batman who laughs, the Batman who laughs. And all I think about when I think of the Batman who laughs is that great scene in Batman the Animated Series. I forget the name of the episode. I know it was based on the Laughing Fish. It may be called the Laughing Fish. When Batman is hanging upside down and Harley is about to kill him using her death trap, and she explains it, and he starts laughing. And the laugh is so, they never even imagine Batman laughing. So she actually gets scared and says, "Stop, you're scaring me." I love that scene. And so that's what I think of when I think of the Batman who laughs. And yet it's still funny. That scene in that episode, that is the kind of humor that I think we should have, and yet we have Teen Titans Go. So yeah, that I'm going to go look that clip up. If I can find it while you guys are talking, I will. I'll put a link in the chat here. That's awesome.
Nicholas, that was Mad Love, the famous one there.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking of Mad Love. Yeah, but that was a great episode, and those guys. I don't know why you're at Warner Brothers and you don't go to the people who understand these characters better than the comic book people do right now. I don't. Yeah. They should be doing the movies, but yeah, Val Kilmer Batman smiling is creepy. Ugh. I liked Batman Forever because it wasn't Batman and Robin. That's the only way I ended up liking it. All right, then. So I think that's all for comic book TV. Best of. I'm going to start. Go ahead.
I just want to give kind of an honorable mention to Legion. I know a lot of people. It's kind of an obscure one, but it is the show that if you love really whacked out, I just took a hit of acid type show. This is it. It's a wild ride. So, but it like I said, you've got to be in the right frame of mind. But I just wanted to give kind of an honorable mention to that one.
And Michael, do you have any honorable mentions?
Hadn't really planned on that. So
hadn't planned. Okay. Yes, I that's another one I wanted to watch and just didn't get into. I got away from me. But I trust the judgment of you guys. I know that it is good, and perhaps doesn't it have fewer episodes than the other series?
Yeah, it's like 8 and 10.
Okay.
Somewhere. It's 2 seasons in, and I think it's like 8 and 10 episodes. It's kind of like Marvel's Runaway was, where it's just like very short. It's the way Hulu likes to do. Yeah, Marvel's Runaway, but this was on FX, so okay. It was a weekly show.
Oh, you're talking about Legion. I thought you meant, okay, Legion. Yeah, I didn't see Legion yet either. That's another one on the list there. Okay. Okay. But yeah, and it also has the very lovely Aubrey's in it, isn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Doesn't do it for me, but yeah.
That's fine. Cool.
She could do it for me. Hey, I'm sorry. I wish I had my sound effects, man. God damn all of you people I pay to not know how to work this stuff. Okay, so I am going to go then to worst, and I'll start off, and I think it's probably, I would ask y'all to guess, but that's not fair to y'all. I picked worst Supergirl, and the reason for that really is everything since the second season, and because it further. Well, I don't want to go into the super political stuff, but I'll get into a little bit. That show seems to me now to be only about ideologies and it's not even about the superhero stories anymore. And that's a shame because there's so much talent involved. I mean, they've brought back Terry Hatcher, they've got Dean Cain, they've got all these great people involved, and yet they continue to just limit what the show can do and who it appeals to. So that's my pick there. Anybody want to?
I would agree. I would agree with that, and I think that the problem is that it sets the tone for the future of that Flareoverse. I mean, I really like Batwoman. They someone released the description, a new description that came out of the show, and it's like Kate Kane is a young, of course, she's a young lesbian because it's all about her lesbianism, which, I mean, yeah, the character's lesbian, but, can that be a part of her and not the entirety of her, and the description talks about how she really believes in social justice and she's going to be doing this, and that. And I'm just like, Berlanti, Wiseman, you guys you've turned the corner, and I mean, you guys used to write some wonderful stuff, but they've just clearly gone up the end of doing nothing but preaching rather than storytelling.
And they're trying to make it like revolutionary. Oh, she's a lesbian. Well, we have the leader of the Legends of Tomorrow is a lesbian. We have Supergirl's sister is a lesbian. It's nothing new. You've got a gay character on Arrow. Big deal. So she's gay. Just give us a good.
But they deserve a gold star every time they do it.
I know, but it's like, oh God, who cares anymore? It's a participation trophy at this point.
Yeah.
We made her gay. We get like you said, we get our little gold star, and it's sick. You want my worst?
Yes.
You guys have both done Supergirl. I would agree with you, except that I stopped watching Supergirl because of Doctor Who, but I would have to think that, and I'm surprised you
Doctor Who.
No, I am surprised you two didn't bring up DC's Titans.
I just totally forgot about that. You're right.
Haven't yet.
It is. I mean, when Robin goes F Batman, that right there made it an absolute piece of garbage.
And when he killed somebody was my big thing. Yeah.
I mean, can't kill him. It's total trash. Doesn't need to exist. It needs to go away.
And it's kind of like the Venom phenomena. It drives me crazy. I hear people, I guess they're trying to sound like, intelligent or something, but I hear people on YouTube or Twitter, actually I watched it and it's actually a really well written show. It doesn't matter if it's well written. It does not matter. It's starting from a deal breaking premise. But you'll never explain that to people.
No.
Yes, Troy. I am still watching Doctor Who, and the New Year special was fantastic.
We're planning an intervention, Troy. Don't you worry.
Well, since you said what you did, Al, I'm going to have to. Let's do this then. You've anticipated something that I kind of cheated on my own list, but we'll get to it. But let's move on to genre TV, which was I had considered that outside of superheroes. Yet I cheated at the same time. So best genre TV series in 2018. So I'll let's see, who went first last time?
I did.
Okay, so Big Al, go ahead there.
Yet another really tough list. But after having watched this series, which was an experience, an emotional upheaval, a sheer pleasure, and I wished, and I'm probably going to watch it again just to see what I might have missed. The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix. That was a brilliant show, from the writing to the acting to the jump scares. It's how horror should be done. I loved every moment of it. It tears at your mind. It tears at your heart, and if you're not careful, it'll tear at your at your flesh. But but that's my pick. Haunting of Hill House. I've got, of course, plenty of other great shows that were the genre thing, but I'll let you guys go.
Well, I would say, and this might be a fudge. I apologize if it is. I don't know all the details. It is a little bit superhero-ish, so it's a little bit of a cheat, like Chris. But my chat, everybody who follows my channel knows that I have just become insane over My Hero Academia lately. So I don't technically know if a season was released within this year frame or whatever, because I'm so far behind. I know a movie came out this year, but I have just been completely bowled over by the amazing inspiration and just the hope and the belief and the just the depth that show reaches when it comes to what real heroism is, not muddying it up and darkening everybody's motives and mistakes and reveling in the darkness. It really is just truly achieves the heart of heroism. And I had to get by a lot of stuff. I had to get by a lot of my not being used to that anime style and stuff like that, and I just had to sit with it. But the story really shined through and just completely hooked me. So that is definitely my pick for this category.
Al, anything on that to add there?
No.
No. All right. Well.
On My Hero Academia, I don't watch it. I don't even know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I wondered if you two had also watched.
No, I'm sitting here watching the Pacelli's trash Doctor Who.
I want to watch it because of Michael, who also gave me the first volume of the manga for Christmas, in addition to another wonderful gift. So thank you again for that. And I am going to read that shortly. Once my kids go back to school, I'll be able to actually read, hopefully. All right. So here's how I'm going to do this. Now, I'm looking at my list, and I'm the OCD part of me realizes I violated one of my rules. Two of my rules, which was it had to begin in 2018 on one level, but then that's kind of being a little too harsh. So at the same time, this particular show I picked was off the air. No, it wasn't. Wait, okay, hang on. No, it wasn't. Okay, so I can pick that. So even though it didn't start in 2018, I'm going to pick The Orville as best. But if I were to say to my OCD self, it had to start in 2018, which is kind of a dumb rule anyway. And I know Professor Geek will not like this. Lost in Space, I also really enjoyed.
Thank you.
This year, I know that's one of those rare times we disagree.
That was one of my alternates.
Why don't you guys just go watch that, and then Santa Claus doing Pilates, and just go agree on everything?
No, that was because really largely I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the performances and the writing, but I also liked that my family, we tried it one night, the first episode, and they really liked it, which it also has that kind of sentimentality to it that, oh, this is something that my whole family does, because we were watching Smallville, and then once the whole witch storyline started with Lana, they were like, they refuse now to watch it. Like, I've got to go watch it by myself now. So
why? They just thought it was cheesy, or
they thought it was terrible, and I kind of thought, okay, why is this still happening? Like, why they thought clearly Lana, they ran out of things to do with Lana now that Lois is here, but it didn't bother me primarily because of the episode where they all get possessed or whatever, and they were all
yes.
Which I made the mistake of mentioning that. No, all I said was, man, this is a very interesting episode. My wife was like, I know why you think it's interesting. But yeah, but Lost in Space, they would actually say, hey, it's movie night or TV night. Can we watch it? And I'd say, yeah. So that was my second pick. The Orville, though, oh God, I can't say how much I love The Orville. The problem for me,
I adore that show.
Yeah.
And technically the second season started on the last day of the year. Or
that's
one of
right.
the last days of the year. The 30th.
That's right. And so it counts. And and I was being too literal with 2018. So that was my problem. Also, though, The Orville, last night we tuned in, and about 5 minutes in, I said to Allie, I said, I don't think the girls are going to be able to watch this one. And she said, why? And then when I saw Klyden's friend in the simulator come around, I said, that's why. And she said, they're not going to do anything. And then I said, watch. And I just stopped right before the lips met. And I said, mayhap we should not watch this with the 10-year-old. The 13-year-old could handle it probably, but not, didn't want to. So, but yeah, I love The Orville. and that's my pick there. I'm gonna just cheat, not cheating, but I'm gonna jump to mine since I mentioned it already. I picked Titans for worst genre TV. Because it's a further tying into the whole Teen Titans Go, Aqua Bro, same reasoning. So there you go. You guys, what are your worst picks? Picks for worst.
I really was trying to come up with something. What is that?
Chris, not me.
What's what?
So somebody was blowing their nose.
You heard it?
Yes.
I had it muted. Oh my god! You see, I apologize to everyone that the computer, the damn laptop volume is being, the microphone's on. Son of a mother. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna fix that in case I have to blow my nose again. You guys go ahead.
Yeah, but the only one I really could think of was the second season of a show called Lore. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's based off of the the YouTube series Takes, a legend or a strange historical event, and it talks about it. The first season was so well done, but the second season, it just kind of, they were just little stories that they would tell, and there was no real there was only one that was really kind of interesting. The rest just fell flat. They didn't follow the same the same style they did in the first season. There were like only 6 of them, and I remember finishing them, and I'm like, wow, that was really disappointing.
Yeah.
I did not watch it. I watched some of and enjoyed the first season, but a lot of the problems I have with the series, the podcast, I kind of wondered if that was going to become a problem with the show, which is that it seems like Aaron Mahnke has decided to kind of get a little too, he likes to try and debunk certain things if they're at all supernatural or faith-based. And I don't like how that, to me, that's a little, I have a problem with that. So I don't know if anybody else has that problem, but
yeah, that really wasn't the issue in this one. I just thought a couple of the stories were just kind of weak stories, and they just weren't portrayed very well.
Yeah,
and it had too clean of a look. Like it looked like a bad episode of Tales from the Dark Side. Or something like that. So it kind of just the overall quality just seemed to drop off. And I like in the original where like halfway through you would hear the narrator kind of take you on a little jaunt to another kind of legend that was similar to it. In this one, it was just the portrayal of the story. And it just had no style. It just kind of laid there like a dead fish.
Did you watch it, Michael? Or
I saw an episode or two, and the pacing just killed me. I think I mentioned the other time it was just like they were just trying to milk far too much out of one of the stories, where it just wasn't that much of a. There wasn't 45 minutes worth of a story in the subject they chose.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a concept you can really, you really have to have some meat to it, and otherwise you're stretching it pretty thin. And that's the same case with the other day. I listened to a recent episode, and I thought, okay, that was there wasn't a whole lot there, which I don't think it's going to be an everlasting series. I don't know how much further he can really go with it, but. Yeah, it is enjoyable, and I did enjoy the ones that I watched in the first season.
Yeah.
Michael, how about a pick for worst?
Sabrina, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix. It is the biggest atrocity that I think has hit television in a long time, because it came from such an amazing source material. The comics are really solid. They're really good. It's not an incarnation of the real Sabrina. She's supposed to be from, the real Archieverse. This is an Elseworld, tale. It's its own little line, set back in the 60s and stuff. And this the show just took. They said it pisses me off because of how they portrayed it on screen, but then also because of the reaction I hear from a lot of people. They took the basic story and they said, okay, let's take this part out and put this SJW sermon in. Let's have the story just take a break right here so we can preach about this SJW agenda item, and then let's alter this character. Let's turn them around and make them like this so that can be that SJW thing. So what you have when you watch it on screen is some good stuff shines through, but that's all the stuff that still made the cut from the comic. And it doesn't make any sense, though, because it's in the context with all these ridiculous SJW propaganda nonsense. So you've got, and then you hear people react to it, and they're like, "Well, it had some good stuff in it." I'm like, "No, yes, it had some good stuff in it, but that's the stuff from the source material. Go back and read the book, then." Oh, reading, ouch! You gotta watch it. It's just it drives me crazy. Yeah. So anyway, that's my pick for worst.
All righty. Well, I did not watch that. Man, I hang on, guys. I don't know. God, am I going to destroy this thing here? I'm sure I can re-enable it. Okay, there we go.
Well, while you do that, I would like to say one thing on the Supreme. I agree completely with what Professor Geek just said. I mean, though he did say some good stuff did shine through, and that was from the original source material. I haven't read that, but...
Yeah, we talked about it before.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it, but I'm just saying, I agree. It's like it's about the first 4 episodes really do a lot of preaching. It finally starts to just do the story, but by then you do have that bad taste in your mouth, and it's just kind of it's happening. And at the end, you basically I'm watching it for purely the fact that the girls are hot. I mean, let's face it. That's pretty much the.
That's why you'd watch Supergirl if it was conflicting with your schedule still.
I plan to go back to Supergirl once it restarts again because Doctor Who is now off the air.
Mom. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, well.
Did you? Damn it! Because I've got the mic muted on the laptop, and the one muted on the board, and I'll be damned if it's still. How can that be? What is there some kind of NSA listening device? And what the hell's going on here? How is the hell?
You were the most professional of the 3 of us when it comes to audio technology and broadcasting, and yet you have the most trouble with the technology.
Yeah, cat fight. Did y'all hear? Yeah, cat fight.
Yeah, we did.
Son of a mother. Because I went into I just looked up how to mute the damn thing in Windows 10. I'm not a space alien, Bill Gates. You can make these shit simpler. I'm sorry. All right, good. Well, let's all right. So now genre film. Now this means science fiction and horror. This is a tough one for me. And I am going to go ahead and I guess I'll not go first here. I will let's see. Big Al, maybe. Or no, who went first? I guess it doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to go alphabetically here. I'm going to let you go first, Al. Genre film, the science fiction or horror this year.
I will say this was kind of a tough one for me because I really haven't seen a lot of films this year in this category that I've really given a good thought to. I will say the one film that kind of got a lot of mixed reviews that when I watched it, I thoroughly enjoyed myself was The Meg.
I wanted to see that so bad and I didn't.
It is in no way, well, like I said, I have my love of big giant things eating people. So that's always a plus. And you have The Meg. Is it a perfect movie? Not by a long shot. But it is just one of those fun, enjoyable, cool the big fish is eating people kind of thing. It's dumb summer fun. And that's what I had. Like all the horror things I have seen are older, horror films, like this was the year I finally saw 1978's Halloween, which would be my pick for best horror film I saw in 2018.
The original Halloween.
The original Halloween.
Yeah.
40 years later, it finally makes my list.
Yeah.
So there we go.
All righty. Well, Professor Geek.
I am going to name a movie. I haven't gone through a list of like every little release, from the year, and I certainly haven't seen a lot of them. But one movie I saw recently that I've talked about before that really just took me by surprise with how good it was. That is The House with the Clock Inside in its Walls.
Yes.
The Eli Roth of all people to direct this movie that's kind of this charming sort of, it's child safe, children can watch it, but he's the guy that did the Hostel movies and all this kind of stuff, and it's adapted from a book that set off a series of books that a guy wrote from the 70s. So it's kind of the pre J.K. Rowling Wizarding World stories, and it's really solid. The books takes place in the 40s, but the movie takes place in the 50s, which I think is a better move. And it has Jack Black and Cate Blanchett, and they are just
Kate.
I know. Yeah, I've already. Yeah. Yes. It just really surprised me. I was expecting just sort of at best, I was expecting just some sort of cutesy fun, but it surprised me as being a well-told story, well planned out, well paced, and well themed and everything. And Jack Black was wonderful in it. He's always kind of hit or miss for me, but when he's on, he's really on. And yeah, I was just really surprised by that. So I'd recommend that to anybody, maybe even to your daughter. I know she's into the Harry Potter stuff. My niece is as well, so I'm going to show her this one.
Yeah, they do. Both girls actually saw the trailer and said that they thought it looked good. So I do want to give that one a shot. And I don't know that I really, Jack Black, I like him, but he's always pretty much entertained me. There's just, sometimes I wonder, why is he in this movie that seems so much like this last movie he did, which was, of course, Goosebumps, which I know they're probably not at all the same, but it just came off that way to me.
Yeah.
Cate Blanchett, first of all, oh God. And I also mean as an actress, that's not purely my glands talking, but I love the visuals of it. And I loved the premise and the jack-o'-lanterns. When I saw that in the trailers, that pretty much sold me. I was like, I gotta watch this.
Yeah.
It's got a nice Halloween feel to it. So yeah, that's going to be.
And Jack Black isn't bad. I think the thing is he got his start in that genre of films that were all about the personality of the star. So like all of those Adam Sandler movies, that kind of school of, so his movies like the old his Mexican wrestler movie or whatever he did, Gulliver's Travels, those kind of movies, just do not appeal to me at all. When the whole movie just seems like a contrivance for the main actor just to be like, check me out, look how funny I am and my personality is. And, so I didn't like that. And that's kind of where he got his start, but he's really grown beyond that and done a lot of other things. So,
yeah, I enjoyed him in, I can't believe I'm even saying this out loud and admitting it, but the Holiday, I think it's called. Did you guys ever see that? Where it's Jack Black, and then it's this guy that all the women think is attractive. I don't know. That's why I don't remember his name. Clive Owen, maybe. It's some actor, British actor. Anyway, it's about them switching houses for the holiday, and then they end up falling in love with the neighbors, and et cetera, et cetera. And he's a musician, but it's not all about him, and he does a really good job. Does this mean anything? Have y'all ever heard of this?
It vaguely sounds familiar, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, it kind of has that whisper of familiarity, but
yeah, it's a chick flick all the way, but it was really good. And it has the reason I really enjoyed it, because I always like looking at her, is I can't think of her name, but she's Titanic. Damn it.
Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet.
Yeah, hello, Kate Winslet. And then I forget who else is in there with her, but she's also it might be Cameron Diaz. I think it is Cameron. Yeah, Cameron Diaz. So there's also always a good time to look at her. And I do enjoy her. God, it sounds like such a chauvinist pig. By the way, I am, largely. No, I'm not. But that is I can't believe I'm saying that it's a really good film, but it is. So, yeah, I agree with you on Jack Black. Now, this was tough for me because I had a series of films over the course. As a geek, we look ahead in development. We say, oh, this is coming. And I had a few films that I was hoping would be high up on the list, and they did not make it to the top of the list. They're at the bottom. And those are going to obviously be my worst, which is disappointing. One of them is super disappointing. The pick for best genre film is a horror film because I didn't really catch a whole lot of sci-fi, and from what I've read, I didn't miss anything. But Hereditary is my favorite genre movie of 2018. It's one of these films. It's very similar to The Witch, which I know Al is a big fan of as well as I am.
Yep.
It is a film that kind of pretends not to be a horror movie, and that works to its advantage, but it backfired because I think a lot of people went in still thinking it was a horror movie, and then when it was, that disappointed them for some reason. Mm-hmm. This shouldn't be a horror movie, but I wanted it to be. Well, I don't know what to do with that. Like, I mean, what did you know? It's a brilliant film in a lot of ways. I can see where a lot of people think it's crap. I completely get people who are like, this is boring. You had to go in being ready to not know what the movie was, and that's where I was.
Is that the Jim Krasinski or John Krasinski one?
No, that is the vastly overrated A Quiet Place, which would be my worst if not for these other two movies. Oh, but hey, it's great. It's the best science fiction horror movie ever made. Alien called and wants that description back. It's vastly overrated crap, and it's going to get a sequel. Yay! Anyway. I digress. Hereditary stars. That's the other thing. It doesn't have any really big names in it, but it's got the very disturbing trailers with the woman who is mourning the death of her mother, and she works on miniatures, and and
that little girl. Okay,
yes, the little girl who is not what you think she is either, which is very interesting. This movie to me, it's the first time film for the director and the writer, and I think it's going to get some Oscar nominations, which really doesn't mean anything anymore, but it's a film that should get them if it meant something, and I highly recommend it. If you have not seen it, you've been putting it off, trust the fan man's recommendation. You got to be in the right mood. It is also not a horror movie that you watch for fun, in the sense of like The Conjuring, I would watch for fun somewhat because I know there's going to be highs and lows emotionally. I know that my emotions comedy is going to be played on. Also sympathy and romance will be played on, and then horror and suspense. This movie is not going there. It's very emotional. It's very raw. It's very shocking. All of those are hype words that usually mean it's a shitty movie, but this is not the case here. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it.
I plan to watch it tomorrow right now if I'm in the mood.
and actually on this channel, you can see, if you go back, you'll find my review for it is up here. In a past episode of the Geek Show, you'll find the review for it. So that's my pick for best. Let's look at worst.
Troy says, from what he hears, steer clear of Bird Box too. So he's
really, yeah. Well, I know he saw on Facebook how I've been taking that thing to the woodshed. It's kind of like the opposite though, because a lot of people were saying Hereditary is the year's most frightening film, and you would think that would turn me off, except that I was reading everything about the film before the hype train started, and the things I was reading really got me interested in the movie. And once you see it, you'll go, okay, well, yeah, it's definitely a horror movie, but it doesn't. I like that it's doing something new in a time when we're still getting some really shitty horror movies, unfortunately. So I like that it was going there, and it's just the emotion in it. I'm gonna have to look up her name, but the main actress here who really carries the film.
Toni Collette.
Toni Collette. She probably, a lot of people won't remember her more recent work, but she was the mother in crap.
The Sixth Sense.
Thank you, Al. Yes, The Sixth Sense. And she did a terrific job there. So I'm going to put a trailer in, and if you don't have your interest piqued from the trailer, then it may not be for you, but it certainly was for me. So that was my pick for best. Worst, guys. Anybody want to take us there?
I know what your worst is.
Okay.
And because of that, it is also mine, because it was I know this was the film you wanted to be good.
Yeah. More
than anything in this world. And the fact that it wasn't, and it hurt you to your very soul, it is my vote too. So I shall let you discuss.
Well, thank you, sir. I did pick this, although there was a slight tie with another film. But yes, Halloween 2018 was, and the most, again, kind of an Aquaman situation. The most frustrating thing about it is that all the ingredients were there for it to be really good, but they were not put together correctly. And it is a huge disappointment for me. Now, that goes against a lot of the fans, the Michael Myers fans, who I will say, a lot of the Halloween movie series fans like it, but they believe there should be sequels. So that's where we're going to differ immediately. I just thought you got John Carpenter back. Granted, he was just an advisor, and he did the score, which was beautiful. But you should have gotten more than just an advisory role. He should have probably co-wrote this. They went through literally 80 drafts. I watched an interview with the director and David Gordon Green, and he said, my writing partner and I, and the guy whose name I'm going to also forget, who's an actor, but he's not in this film, we went through 90 drafts. And the interviewer corrected him and said, wait, are you serious? And he said, no, really, 90. If you go past 10 drafts, you've got a problem. And maybe even less. But I can understand the desire to get it right, which I appreciated. But so much was wrong. And part of that was co-opting this film to make it some kind of, agenda-based empowerment video story, which the original movie already had that without being overt about it, right? I mean, the final girl started with Laurie Strode in Halloween, and yet that was not banged on your head. She survived because she's a girl. No. It's because she was a resourceful, strong-willed human being, and I do also think a lot of that had to do with her maternal instinct. But the movie doesn't beat you over the head with that ever. This movie says, hey, the only survivor of the original film's trauma that matters is this woman. By the way, it doesn't matter that a little girl and a little boy who's probably had an even more screwed up life, they don't matter at all because that doesn't fit our narrative. So that pissed me off a lot. What bothered me, too, is that they kind of turned Michael Myers into this. They kind of turn him into Jason Voorhees, which those are two separate things and always should be. And I didn't really feel like it was Michael. And then they're also the mask and the soundtrack are the best thing. And I will say Jamie Lee Curtis's performance, but that's a given. I mean, she did a tremendous job. She's a great actress. There's no argument. I also had a problem, tremendous problem with the wasting of time in the plot on other characters. And for anybody who hasn't seen it, I know it just hit video. There's also something that happens that turns Michael Myers into someone who's been directed by someone else instead of being this enigma, this mystery. And that was really kind of the main one for me. So that's my big one. You were right, Al. And also the runner-up was The Nun. I wanted to love that frickin' movie. I loved all the other films in the series for the most part. The Conjuring 2, I didn't care for some of it, but one of the things I liked about it was Valak. And I thought, if you're going to do a movie about Valak, it's going to be some really scary, amazing stuff. And it's easy to do it right. And then I saw the movie. So it isn't an awful horror movie. And I actually, when you think about it as kind of a modern Hammer horror film, the way it was made, the production values, it works. And I actually respect it on that level. But as a successor to what we saw in The Conjuring, no, it's not. It doesn't manage to be a film that's truly disturbing and scary. It kind of gets into this fantastical realm. And that disappointed me. I know other people are going to not look at it with that kind of level of expectation, and that's fine. But so those are my that was the runner-up for worst. But yeah, Halloween still breaks my heart. It's another one of these movies that's widely accepted, made a lot of money, which automatically, for some reason, means it's great. Yet everybody seems to forget that Michael Bay did some Transformers movies. So I don't know how those two coexist, but they do. It made money and it's great. So that's my pick there. Michael, what did you pick?
Oh, an easy one. Solo, the Star Wars story.
Star Wars story. Yeah.
I did not see it, but I think the fact that a Star Wars movie came out and lost money is insanely huge. This is a history moment, and it dealt an irreparable blow to the Star Wars franchise. That no matter how good the franchise, like let's say it just became amazing, it will never get over the fact that one of his films actually lost money. That was something so special about the franchise, and it was a consequence of The Last Jedi and all the dumbasses who want to double down on that film, and it was a consequence of the mishandling by Disney Lucasfilm, and it was just them getting their due, and it is hilarious to see people try to justify the Solo losing money. Well, the time of year, or toxic fans, or they just can't do it. This was just a tragic blow to the Star Wars franchise, as if it hadn't had enough blows, with Last Jedi and whatnot. But with this, it really all came to a head, like a big ugly zit popping, with Solo and his performance at the box office.
And I would have actually, because that was on my list as well, and I thought about it, and it's just for me. After The Last Jedi, I don't even. I mean, it's so painful to even think about it. But yeah, I completely agree with you on that pick. I would have gone there as well. I tonight, Return of the Jedi was on before I came upstairs, and unfortunately for my wife, it was the scene where Luke has just said goodbye to Yoda, and then after that he talks to Obi-Wan, and I launched into an explanation as to why Luke Skywalker would never do what he did, even thinking about what he did in The Last Jedi, and she was just kind of like, okay, honey, that's gonna be okay. I mean, it put me in a fugue for quite a while.
Do you need a refill, honey? Did your meds run out?
And that's when I went and got a cup of coffee, which didn't help probably. But yeah, but I completely agree. And all these people, and I don't want to offend any of the Star Wars folks, and I know that big people in the community of Star Wars fans and Comicsgate, I know that those cats really are excited about Episode 9. I mean, beyond the impossible, there's nothing that can be done to save the franchise in the sense of its integrity. Can it continue to make a shit ton of money? And yeah, oh sure, but you can't unless. I mean, I'm hearing course correcting from Lucasfilm. I'm hearing rumors that they're going to undo. How can you undo that movie? I mean, unless you're going to say it didn't happen, and I know they're not. I've heard some rumors that, Rey is now going to be revealed to be this person, and Luke really didn't die. That's not going to undo. So I know Al has.
Like Al said, though, nothing short of a force dream.
Yeah,
for the best film would really do it for me.
I'm not saying a word.
Al, did you see Solo yet? It's on video, huh?
No, not yet. It's about to hit Netflix. And
it is.
So I will see it.
I really am curious to hear what you think.
Coming soon. I'm willing to bet you I'm going to find that it was a fun adventure movie.
I know you were
pretty much willing to bet that too.
I'll probably like it too.
Yeah. And hey, it takes all kinds, doesn't it? Doesn't that make the world go round?
The light can't shine without some darkness around it. So yeah,
that's right. Oh man, I need to start drinking.
Like Troy and Nanette were saying. Well, 75% of the people don't like Doctor Who. Well, guess what? 25% do.
And I guess at the end of the day,
I happen to be in the minority in this one. That's fine. Sometimes the minority of people can be right.
You got a nice thick skin, Al. I'll say that.
Yeah,
and a good sportsmanship humor.
I do. I can take it most of the time. I just realize when people are wrong.
I see Hendrix says at least. Hang on there. I lost the comment there. That doesn't matter that he's. Oh, that's comic fan Nicholas saying doesn't matter if Luke isn't dead. They destroyed his character. Absolutely. I mean that's my key issue. Yeah, you even and the other part that I hear a lot of defense. But we don't want to go here. But I've just heard people recently. Lucas's idea was to have Luke go off on the island. Yeah, but not not for the same reason that. Fat round-headed Ryan Johnson came up with it. Mara Jade said that none isn't horrible, but it didn't live up to the hype. Absolutely, so much potential that was squandered. And then Hendrix, you're singing my song, man. At least these new Star Wars films make people appreciate the prequels. Thank you, because you know what? I've always appreciated large swaths of the prequels, and it's good to see that people are going back to those and going, well, wait a minute. This is Star Wars. I think there is a distinction that people are making. Are there some huge problems? Yeah. Oh, yeah. But we that's a whole nother episode.
It's like revisiting Superman Returns after Man of Steel.
Yes, exactly. That's right. And that I'm actually going to be doing a video on Superman Returns tied in to my video that I'm doing on how to reboot the DC. Well, I don't even call it a reboot because that would presuppose you have a DC universe on film already. So how to do a DC universe on film will be coming up for shortly. Let's now. I know, Al, you don't have any picks for comic issues, best and worst. So
well, I have a
Oh,
best,
you do?
sort
Okay.
of.
Well,
Oh, he does have a best. Yeah, you would.
Yes, I do. Hawkman. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's the only comic I've been reading. Robert Venditti and Brian writing and Brian Hitch art.
Yeah.
I've always liked Hawkman. It's the odd character I like, and
Great character.
I heard. Fantastic!
And a great book.
Fun character. Like I said, when I used to play role-playing games and we did a superhero campaign, the first character I had was a guy who had wings, and his name was Greyhawk. An American Indian, but that's another story. But yeah, I've just really been enjoying that. I'm glad that they brought that comic back, and I'm glad I have someone that's given me the ability to see it.
I agree. I did read the first few issues, and I love Robert Venditti, and he's one of the guys over there in that creative ghetto called DC Comics that I wish I wish well, because I know from the rumors that guys like him, Jurgens, Tomasi, they're not doing too well right now with Bendis taking over everything, and yeah. So, but it is. I mean, and Brian Hitch, I'm so glad he got that book because his Justice League run was really bad, but he kind of redeemed himself there. I love the scene in the first or the second issue where he fights that giant animated statue.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. It felt a lot like a Universal Studios Mummy movie at some point, and I thought, man, this is and Indiana Jones. It's a great,
it's like he's going to all these different places. He's in I haven't read the newest issue yet, but like he was just in the Microverse, and he's made a few versions of himself, and it's just a fun story with no no social agenda whatsoever yet, hopefully,
or connection to any of the other garbage, which really
it's its own little universe. I mean, it was nice to see the Atom, but
that
wasn't anything out of the ordinary.
Right. Michael, how about you?
Okay, so I'm going to fudge a little bit here and give maybe a couple of answers. So in terms of like the mainstream comics and like the big publishers and whatnot, everything that was happening with Tomasi's Superman run before Bendis came along was perfection. I mean, that had really just reached a wonderful point where it should have continued. So even though it didn't start necessarily in 2018, I still want to go back to that with all my heart. But in terms of comics or whatever, I don't. There's a couple of the comics from the Comicsgate community and from these Indiegogo campaigns or whatever. Well, this one didn't actually come out from Indiegogo campaign, but Black Ops by Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini really shocked me. I read it last year. I think it came out last year too. That really just shocked me. I did a video of that on my channel. I had no idea I would be that interested in a little story of a bunny that had powers, but they really pulled it off. It really is like almost like a Captain America story. It really is pretty amazing. So that probably tied with Case File Arkham by Jayashiro Finney, who has been on Son of Comicsgate Live with me a couple of times. I've really been impressed with the story arcs that he provides in that sort of Lovecraftian noir genre, and the art's really great. And I love film noir anyway, and that detective stuff, and then throw the supernatural stuff in. It's really a lot of fun. I just received volume 2 in the mail from the campaign today with some cool artwork and everything like that. So those are my picks. All
right. Well, I have not read those, but on your recommendation, I I do actually want to check those out. I saw your video. I just haven't watched it yet. My pick is a tie, and the reason that there had to be a tie is something you alluded to. The best single issue for me of 2018 was Action Comics 1000, with the caveat that if you can remove the Bendis story, which is it's so inconsequential anyway that I can easily pretend it's not part of it. And so it's such a great celebration. It was the last time DC celebrated and really gave Superman his due in the comics since Bendis. So I was able to put that. I loved how they handled that. The covers. I loved the creators coming back. I love that they had Paul Dini on the book.
Yes.
I love that Jurgens and Tomasi got to continue on. So tremendous work there. And outside of the Bendis stuff, it's wonderful. I proudly have my variants framed, and I look at them every day, and it brings me joy. So single issue. However, it's tied because of the Bendis. I had to put in a tie. And this is a book I may have talked about on my show, but I have not reviewed yet. And I do want to review. In fact, I was going to review it right around the time Man of Steel ended. And that put me off doing any videos at all. And then I came back and began doing videos again. It's called Farmhand. And it is an Image comic book by Rob Guillory, who is... he's familiar probably to some people. He did the comic book Chew, which also I believe is it's an Image book, and it is Rob Guillory is from Lafayette, Louisiana, so he's a hometown boy, and it's a very cool premise about this farmer who, without giving too much away, you can kind of tell this from the covers and the promo art. It's about, and it's set in Louisiana, and it's about this farmer who can grow human limbs on his farm. And this becomes a revolutionary thing, as weird and as out there as that sounds. So it's horror, sci-fi, comedy, bizarre stuff. And I love it for that reason. And the art is really great. And he does the art himself. He writes it. And I can't recommend it enough. I will be doing a review on it shortly. So that was tied in. The first issue is tied there with Best. But, of course, Action Comics 1. Really has the majority of the top spot there. Anybody have a worst? Because I do. I don't know, Michael, if you want to start.
Oh, hells yes.
What do you have?
The Man of Steel run, Bendis's first outing on the Superman. He just systematically dismantled everything that was good about the Superman universe at that point, and replaced it with a big old lump of turds. And he's amazing, and he's so innovative, and he, oh my gosh, the man. It's best I just stop there.
Well, I'll continue because I did categories of comic run and single issue. So for my run, I picked Man of Steel for all those reasons. And the garbage, the first issue was kind of just a shocker to get people to pick up the book because it wasn't bad. And by the time we got to the third issue, the writing was on the wall. So garbage, I burned it. I don't know how much more hate I could actually show than burning the damn thing, which you can go find that video on my channel.
That was fun to watch.
I wish I'd made it last longer, but I just did it. I did it on the spur of the moment.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. Unfortunately, it is what she says. Action Comics. My pick for worst single issue of 2018. I did read the whole issue. I didn't pay for it. And it is Action Comics 1004. And if you go back on my channel, you'll see that I talk about Superman. Now, I talk about Superman and Bendis, but I talk about Bendis writing the next Crisis event, which I still think is happening. And I talk about 1004 in detail. And that is the issue in which Lois, after a gratuitous sex scene involving Superman and Lois Lane, and by gratuitous, I mean it happened at all, that it was put in a comic. She says basically, I don't need to be married to you. I have other stuff to do.
You don't need me. I don't need you.
You don't need me. I don't need you. And I have stuff. I have to write a book. And being the cuck of Steel, he says, "Oh, okay, sure.
Let's be married, but not be married, and bake this cake and give it to Dan Didio to eat it too."
Exactly. Yeah, it's marriage, but it's his way of undoing everything that Jeff Johns did. Which, from what I understand, they don't like each other. I can understand that completely.
I can understand anybody not liking Dan Didio.
Yeah. I don't even know how the guy's married, but no, I don't think anybody's ever seen his wife, so it could just be his right hand that he said he's married to. I don't even think his right hand likes him. But anyway, we'll stop there. But that to me is the fundamental foundational issue of what Bendis has done. I'm sure there'll be worse coming in 2019. I'm sure. I'm waiting for Lois to either be killed off or for some other stupid thing to do, like they'll have a divorce. I'm waiting for, of course, John Kent, now aged into an angsty teen. But that was my pick there. I did Run. So I think, I don't know if you guys thought of it that way as well. My pick for best run was Superman under Tomasi and Gleason, issues 42 to 44, which was the wonderful Bizarro-verse run.
Oh, uh-huh.
That's how they kind of finished out the book. They had one last issue as well. So that was my pick there. Anybody else have a run that you wanted to?
I was just thinking the whole Tomasi run, but when it comes to a single issue, that one issue, it was even before Superman Reborn. I would think maybe that's my favorite run because that really solidly brought us back. That placed the iconic Superman that we had been spending time with and that we loved and we wanted back. That completely decimated the New 52 Superman, even though dumbass Didio is trying to bring it back now through Sideways or whatever. It decimated that and brought him back as the one Superman of the universe that everybody now remembers as Superman. So that was just so amazing to see. So that maybe is a run, that one. As an issue, though, and I think you'll probably agree with me, at least as an extra one when you hear it. But that episode, I forgot what issue it was, but it's the Tomasi run of Superman, which everything just sort of takes a break. It's its own story, and Clark and Lois and Jonathan are going to the Hamilton County Fair together.
Yes.
And that is just a wonderful story. They still have to save some people, but they're just having a nice family time at the fair. It's just a wonderful, wonderful issue.
Yeah, my other pick in single issue in the Tomasi run is 39, where they go to where the Justice League and Superman bring the cancer patient kids.
Yes, that's great too.
To the Watchtower, and that brought tears to my eyes. It was beautiful.
Yes,
if I had more money, I'd buy multiple copies and I'd send it to St. Jude's because we do a lot of work at our radio station. We do a St. Jude radiothon every year, and I just thought, this is beautiful. I mean, and that's what DC Comics doesn't want to publish. But if none of you've not read it, anyone's not read it, 39 of the last Superman series, not the current.
It's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect.
Beautiful. You can't. If you don't like it for some reason, you're dead inside. I can't imagine why you wouldn't. As harsh as that sounds. How about you, Al? I don't know. You probably don't have any runs in that category.
Not really.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna. I know I had put collectible on there. I know I had put comic creator. But in the interest of time, I know we're right up at 2 hours here. I'm going to go ahead, and this is a category that only I have here, and so I want to end with this because it's very special, and I know you guys would pick this person for yourselves as well in the same category, so it works. It's two people in this category, and it is the Fan Man Tonight Fans of the Year, and this is for the fans who have, through their spirit, their devotion to, and I'm talking in particular to my channel and what I do, but I know it applies to both of you as well, who have really gone out of their way. They haven't just done a few shares here and there. They've really gone out of their way to push what we do and to do that in a way that goes beyond just, we don't know each other in person. It goes as it's something I would expect from somebody that I know in person, a friend that, and it's something I would expect from the two of you. So you also fit in there, but we've known each other longer, I think. So I really felt that this was deserved here for these two individuals. So I will be sending something your way as a symbol of this. I'm working on it myself. I'm making it right now. It may be crappy. I don't know how it's going to come out. But the Fan Man Tonight Fans of the Year for 2018 are Troy and Annette Pacelli. And I can't thank you enough. It means so much, and I've already personally thanked you for all that you've done, for what you sent, how meaningful it was. They sent me a beautiful letter. I'm sure they wouldn't mind if I mention it. Just offering support and thanks for doing Fan Man tonight and doing my channel. And they have done similar things for Professor Geek and Big Al. And it means I'm going to let them talk as well, but it just, you don't know what it means, because I've been laboring at a podcast now in various forms for easily 6 years in different ways. And it's just frustrating to put your heart, your passion, your creativity into something, and it doesn't go very far. And a lot of that has to do with the way Facebook and YouTube are put together and social media is put together. But you have made that so much easier, and you've made it worthwhile. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank both of you, Troy and Annette, for your dedication and your love and sharing. And guys, you want to add anything to that?
And the fruitcake.
and the Superman stuff, and the letter was just, yeah. And I told them that personally, so they know. But
and I would say too, their time just constantly with us, and I appreciate all my fans, even many of the fans who are here who just constantly with every live stream. I love that. But Troy and Annette sending my daughter gifts and everything, and really just going out of their way to try and encourage. So yeah, appreciate everything you guys do. And don't forget, I was a little shocked that you didn't mention Don Draper. Is the most crucial fan. I don't know if you saw that. He was the guy in here earlier trying to tell us that Spider-Verse was amazing and that Infinity War was horrible.
No, I didn't see that. Really? How did I miss that?
It was kind of a failed attempt at trolling, I think. We got bored because no one really cared about it.
Well, Mr. Draper, I never saw your stupid show, Mad Men, so take that, man. But if you were trying to be funny, good. That was good. But if not, the hell with you. No, I'm sure he's a lovely fella, and we're all just real happy about him. I didn't mean that at all. Yeah, I know, and Al and Michael too. I've thanked them for years for their support and their colleagues to me and friends. I say colleagues because we co-host and we've done podcasts together, and so you guys certainly would have been eligible, but I hope you understand.
We agree with your decision.
Well, thank you. And I
100%.
You'd be hard pressed, I think, to find to more dedicated folks and just good people. And so thank you so much for that. And I see Nanette says, well, she totes adorbs. I love that. And my kids are actually using these phrases, and it makes me wonder if I've gone into some kind of parallel universe where all the effort I put into speaking good English to them doesn't really make a difference because they still, and I'm not making fun of anybody, but totes adorbs. Like, it's funny to me. The new thing that the kids are saying now is if somebody makes a joke about you, they call that roasting. They call that roast. Oh, you got roasted. And I'm like, that's not what that means, but okay. But to me, that means like a roast, like the old Dean Martin roast or the new filthy yet still funny Comedy Central roast. So there you have it. The Fan Man Tonight Fans of the Year. Your trophy will be in the mail as soon as I finish making it. So that'll be a while.
He's got to get some more construction paper and paste, but he's hard at work.
That's right. I actually, I don't want to get into it, but I've been on a bit of a DIY track. I made my wife a Christmas present this year, and it actually works. It actually came together. It's a jewelry organizer. And so I don't know, ever since I started making my own masks for Halloween this year, which I've not put up on YouTube, so nobody's seen it, but, or no, I did actually put it up. But yeah, so, Troy says, get your daughters to help you. Yeah, they would hurt themselves because they're very creative, but I can't have them around anything sharp because they hurt themselves pretty easily, sadly. They get that from their mom. The kind of, all thumbs, as it were. The glue the alphabet pasta on it. That's awesome, Mara. And I don't know if that made me think of the Fusilli Jerry episode of Seinfeld, where that went right up Frank Costanza's rear end. The Fusilli Jerry. Well, guys, do you have any shout outs? You want to plug anything before we wrap up?
Just don't miss the rewatch of Raiders of the Lost Ark tomorrow night on my channel. And I have reviews forthcoming for the Trump Space Force and the Case File Arkham Volume 2. So trying to work on that. I'm also working on a video which I'm entitling The Insecurity of Fandom, which will be, and I'll just leave that title out there and I'll get to the video when I get to it.
Did you say it's the insecurity of fan man? Because I can tell you now, everybody already knows.
Fandom.
Fandom. I see. Okay.
Well, I got Big Al's Review-O-Rama. Sometime in the next day or so, I'll be writing a review for the film Truth or Dare, the one from 2017. Not the one with the girl from Pretty Little Liars, but the one that actually came the year before that. Watched that today.
There was one before.
Yeah. Oh man, and it's brutal, brutal, but I really liked it. It was, I don't know, I was in the right mood and watch that. And I'll probably be writing one on what I watch tomorrow. Right now, Hereditary is kind of in the zone right now, but there is another one that might, I don't know, it depends how I feel in the morning. But I'll get those reviews up. Plus a couple of reviews. I'm still waiting for the guy from Horror Scream's Video Vault to get back in track, and got a couple of movie reviews I did for him.
Awesome, very good, and of course, Universal Monsters and Batman continue just rolling along beautifully.
Yep, gotta love those iconic Universal Monsters. It's a lot of fun.
I would put you in charge of them if I had the power to do so. You are certainly a chief advisor, along with Professor Geek and myself. Yeah, awesome. How about let's see. I guess me then, because you guys both talking about what you have upcoming. I have a number of videos I'm working on, and I've just made peace with the fact that when I do videos that have any kind of other than me just yapping in front of a camera, they're going to take longer. So I'm just kind of announcing them so people can come and say, hey, where's that video? But I am committed to doing short daily videos that will have no production values at all, because I do think that is something people want, and they're going to just be very random. In fact, I don't know if anybody here has ever listened to Bill Burr's got a podcast. I don't remember what he calls it, but it's just him talking about random things. And that's going to be what I'm going to be doing on a daily basis. Some will be short and some will be long, depending on the time that I have. I start up again with grad school on Monday, so that'll cut into time. As far as those produced videos, I have one on how to do the DC universe correctly. It is more of a reboot thing. I do acknowledge the Snyder crap, but I'm going to have a video on that. I've also got a video that I'm going to be doing horror-related stuff, maybe bringing back Hollow Weekly for the whole year. But I do have some other Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff that I want to talk about. And I do want to talk about what I think there's a great opportunity that I think Marvel Studios has that they are missing, or not Marvel Studios, Disney really. They've got the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They've got the TV that's doing pretty well. They've got the streaming series. There's something missing, and I'll just tease it: direct to video movies. And if I were running the show, I'd call this Marvel Direct. And so that's where you put your Punishers, your Daredevils. They don't have to have huge budgets. You don't have to worry about the general audience wanting to watch an R-rated superhero movie. And you will have people that will download and buy the physical copies. And that you can put it, they don't have to be continuity tied. And I think that would be great. But that's going to be the video. So I'll get into that in more depth there. So cool. Everybody in the channel, in the chat, I want to thank you so much for being here. I'm seeing more regular names, and guys, thank you so much. I see Hendrix and Mara Jade, Comic Fan Nicholas. I don't want to forget anybody here, but you guys have been seeing you in there. Yucky Gum as well. Thank you. It means so much to me. And so thanks for being here. Of course, thanks to Troy and Nanette and Michael and Al. Guys, thank you, and I love you. And love you in a completely different way than Michael does Christopher Reeve. So I'm never letting that go. But that's one of my great benefits is I don't let things go, as evidenced by that bit on my pick for the worst comic book film of the past of 2018. I like to push a bit until it's just not funny anymore, and then if you just keep going a little bit more, it becomes funny again. And that's why I don't have a whole lot of subscribers, probably. But anyway,
It becomes funny again to the half of the audience that still remains.
That's right. Well, no, it's the Conan O'Brien actually said that in his Paley Center interview, I think, or he was being interviewed. And he said, I like to push a bit until it annoys some people. But by the time it got to that point, everybody else finds it funny because it's annoying some people. That probably works better live, but because I find it funny, I like to keep doing it. So, yeah. So thanks to everybody for listening, and Happy New Year. I know that there is, by the way, just to let anybody know, there is a social convention that should be followed. There is a window in which you should be allowed and not allowed to say Happy New Year. You don't say it anymore after, I would say, the 5th, okay? Don't come to me in March and go, hey, Happy New Year. I don't care that you think it's a Happy New Year. It's not new anymore. I'm sorry. I don't know. That's the cough medicine talking. I took some there. And so, all right, guys, thanks so much for listening. And look for more content from myself, my friends here, and have a great night.